Good buddy Sammy, you are watching NHL Aftermath episode 19 for November the 4th, 2023. Boys and girls, I know we have all our iPhones and Samsungs and that, but just a reminder to those of you that may not have it, it is another daylight savings coming up as of tonight at 2 a.m., I believe. So we fall back an hour. Just like the Edmonton Oilers are falling back in the standings again. And we're going to shortly talk about that as I just finished watching another Edmonton Oiler defeat, and I'm getting a little frustrated at watching this hockey team play and saying the same things in the post-game interviews, but not showing the reflection of their comments. But anyway, that's a different story. Sammy, how are you? How's your week been?
Well, my week was pretty good. I have no complaints.
Is that somewhat indicating your outfit with the Vancouver Canucks hat?
Maybe just a little bit.
Well, that's good.
They have certainly helped my week be good. That is for sure.
Yeah, they are playing very well. And later on in this episode, as we get towards the ending, we're going to go into the certain statistics, and there's some stuff that I actually was like, wow, really? When it comes to plus minus, and we'll get into that.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get into that shortly. Lots we're going to talk about. Dorian getting fired. The Heritage Classic, some success in Edmonton. The Heritage Classic was a huge, massive success. Neck guards. We're going to talk all that stuff. Let's dive into it, Sammy. Let's get going, and we will start with. Let me just get my banners ready here. We will start with the rundown for today, and I got it starting backwards. Just click to the front. Okay, so we're gonna recap the Heritage Classic there, Sammy, as it was absolutely a successful event in Edmonton. It was the second time that they've done it. I was at the one 20 years ago in minus 22 weather, and it actually had more attendance than the last one that we just had on Sunday. But I would much have rather been at this game on Sunday than the one 20 years ago where the Oilers actually lost to the Montreal Canadiens. I believe it was 4-3 or 5-4. It was a one-goal game. But I didn't get frostbite. I wouldn't get frostbite like I did. Well, I didn't get frostbite there. I was actually bundled up pretty good, but it was freaking cold.
Yep.
The NHL learned, okay, it's not a good idea to have it that late.
Especially in Alberta.
Because it makes the ice also hard and brittle and chippy and so that was their first ever outdoor game. And I just lost my lights. So I'm going to have to go without that. I just charged it too. That's weird. Am I coming in a little bit dark?
You're fine. If you lean a little more forward, you'll be okay.
So yeah. Heritage Classic was actually very good. The Oilers actually played a very good game. I was thinking at that point in time, if they lose that game, that could be the season right there. Since then, they've lost another 2, and I'm starting to get concerned that maybe the season is slowly starting to slip away from the Edmonton Oilers. Like I said, 54,411 attended. Great event. Nickelback was playing in between the second and third periods. What were your thoughts on the game? What did you like? What did you not like? Let's hear your take on it, Sammy.
I think overall it was a fun event. I think outdoor games are always fun and kind of a special thing, and I always enjoy watching them. The jerseys, in my opinion, for both teams were in my opinion, mediocre. I don't know. I wasn't a big fan of either of the jerseys. Calgary's I liked more than Edmonton's. I just didn't like the banner with the word mark on the Oilers jersey. I just didn't like that. But overall, it was kind of fun. The jerseys were, of course, they try to go for an old timey look, especially Edmonton with the brown pants and gloves. But um, I thought the aesthetic overall around the arena was really cool. What they did in the stadium was really nice. Um, I like Nickelback. I've always liked Nickelback for years, so of course that was fun to hear them play. Of course, they're one of those bands that people like to hate on, but I personally enjoy them, and I will admit to enjoying them. Um, Overall, yeah, like I think it was an exciting game. It was fun to watch. Of course, it's the Battle of Alberta, so it's always an exciting game when you have the two of them playing each other, and there's that rivalry and a little bit of heat there and contention between the two of them. But overall, yeah, fun game, like you said, very successful, and yeah, I think yeah, it's just good. It was a good event. The NHL is very good at doing those outdoor games, and this one was no different
A lot of planning goes into it now,
for sure.
and it almost, I think I said this to you a few weeks back, it's almost easier for them to put ice on hotter climate markets than colder climates, because colder climates, they got to deal with the brittleness and the chippiness of the ice. You can't fix that really as far
Yeah,
as surface wise goes. You can't really put heaters on the ice to kind of tone it. I guess you might be able to. I don't know how that would work.
you could, but then you risk melting,
Yeah,
even
there's a
in
lot.
certain spots. So
Yeah. So them doing it in October was probably perfect for them, and the weather held up. It was beautiful, beautiful day in Edmonton. Like I say, I wish I would have attended. As far as Nickelback goes, yeah, I'm one of those guys that's kind of one of the haters, but I am uh, proud that they are an Alberta band that made it that huge, because they are massive. It just I got a little tired of their music. Um, I've seen them. I've seen them play. Actually, they opened for what was supposed to be Big Sugar's final concert in Edmonton on a New Year's Eve back in, geez, but this is even before How You Remind Me was released. So, I mean, that goes back a long,
like
long
that's
time.
like
That's when
2000. Yeah.
their hit song at that time was that Swallow song. And
Mm,
it was basically, they were just breaking out at that time. And they were the opening
right.
act for Big Sugar at that time. So I did see them once, but yeah, I got a little tired of them over the year. As far as the jersey goes, I sent you the pictures of my jersey. I actually like the
Yeah.
jersey and I like the word marking and all that. The only thing I don't like about the jersey is the oil drop is in felt. So
Right.
if you're gonna wash it, you got to be very careful. I don't think you want to put that in a dryer after washing it. Luckily, I only wear my jerseys for props on the channel. So I don't really wash my jerseys. I just put them on for a quick 30 seconds, do my episode, it goes back in the closet. So,
Yeah.
so that's about all I have with that. Okay, Sammy, let's move on here. Um, the oops, I went one too many. WHL is making mandatory neck guards. Um, they are one of the last junior. I think they are the last junior team. OHL and QMHL. I think they've implemented neck guards years ago. But just as of this week, uh, due to the horrific passing of Adam Johnson last Saturday, you enlightened me Sunday morning just before we went on.
Hmm.
They were quick to act, very quick to act, rightfully so, for sure. That being said, Sammy, when do you see it in the NHL? This is going to be in the NHL, you think?
I would think that they would eventually. Um, but it might be one of those things that'd be like grandfathered in, like how they did with visors, how they did with helmets. It might be something that's grandfathered in, where the NHL says, okay, newer players or players who maybe have been in the NHL for less than 5 years or played less than X amount of games have to wear it, but players who have been around for 700 plus games or have been in the league for 10 years or whatever, they don't have to unless they choose to. They could do something like that. You're already seeing some players wearing them, even like longtime veterans who are already wearing them. Eric Carlson, they were showing was wearing them the other day. Lars Eller was wearing them. TJ Oshie, he was talking about specifically he wants to wear them and have it so that he can be around for his family, be around for his kids, even though, again, these incidents are very few and far between. The last time I think that even happened, at least that I can recall, was Richard Zednick back in like 2008. Like, it's
Hmm.
been a long time since one has been really at least shown or at least known about.
Yeah.
Um, and luckily Zednick didn't die, but it's one of those safety things that's like, okay, yeah, it's a few and far between. Incident doesn't happen very often, but you have to prepare for it just in case it does,
Hmm.
because people do get hit in the league all the time, and skates go flying, right? Like, I watched the other day, Eric Brandstrom got hit. Um, I can't remember who they were playing, but Eric Brandstrom of the Ottawa Senators got hit, and he did a full cartwheel. He got hit against the boards and did a full spin.
Hmm.
Um, you watch any other hockey game, and at least at some point during the game, somebody's going to get hit, and they're probably going to end up going down, or their legs come up. Like, it happens. Luckily, again, people getting clipped in the face or in the neck or whatever by a skate is rare, but the possibility is there, and that possibility, especially after seeing what happened to Adam Johnson, is terrifying.
Yeah.
Right? I did see the video on it. I came across on my YouTube feed and I watched it, and it was horrifying to witness.
Hmm.
And it was so sad to watch. These things happen, as rare as it is, but you got to prepare for it. And especially the National Hockey League is the premier hockey league in the world. They need to be the pinnacle of safety and the pinnacle of everything. They need to be that example. And in a lot of cases, the NHL isn't. There's a lot of things that they miss the mark on, but this is something that they need to jump on.
Well, and the other thing too, if this happened in the NHL, neck guards would be on every player right now. I
Oh
guarantee
yeah,
it, because
yeah,
when that little girl in Columbus got killed by a hockey puck, the very next games, every arena was fitted with nets. Every arena, and within that week, I believe it was. Like, they just put them up. That was it. They made a decision. They didn't want a fan ever to die again in a hockey game, and that's what happened. So, like I say, yeah, it's far few and in between. But then again, there's a lot of leagues in the world, and it's not necessarily that we hear about those stories when they do get a sliced neck, but they survived from it, right?
yeah.
How many times did it happen in the KHL since Zedneck? It probably happened a couple times. It's just
Probably.
we never got the news, right?
And in junior
So
leagues, it's probably happened too. In junior leagues, like you mentioned, like,
yeah,
who knows?
exactly.
I can't recall any within the Western Hockey League, which both you and I live within the boundaries of the Western Hockey League. So
Yeah.
we figured we would have heard about it. I haven't heard of it. If you can recall hearing about any in the WHL, but I think them implementing it as of yesterday, I believe it was as of yesterday, I think it's a smart move, and it is a safe move. Um, it is a safe move. And two, like, especially in junior hockey, these kids are 16, 17, 18 years old, right? Like, that's no, I mean, no matter what age, if you die from something like this, it's tragic. But for a kid, especially to lose his life because of playing the sport they love, it's sad.
The only thing is, there's a lot of dangerous aspects about hockey.
100%.
Hitting from behind, the torque that these guys have on their sticks now with those hard rubber pucks hitting people in the head. I mean, I'm all for protection, but at what point in time is it too much protection? Like, if someone nearly dies or dies from getting a hockey puck to the head, what are they going to do then? Are they going to make softer pucks? Are they going to demand going back to wooden sticks so you don't get that torque?
Mm-hmm. I think if anything, they just figure out a way to make the helmets stronger or thicker. I don't know. Like, people get hit in the head all the time by pucks too.
Yeah.
Like, even in the Canucks game the other night, like, uh, I can't remember his Friedman. Anyway, he's a newer player for the Canucks. Just got traded from Pittsburgh actually. But he got hit like right here with a puck the other night, blocking a shot. Got
Ouch.
hit like right in the face, and he
A
immediately got up. He
little bit
immediately
of
got up.
dental
Of
work.
course, was bleeding. He threw his gloves off, and his one glove, he must have been just like livid at what happened because he took his glove and he threw it like a football, and
Yeah.
he was livid. He got up, skated straight off the ice. He came back in the game, which that's a tough SOB to come back into the game. But
Kind of like Ryan Smith.
yeah, yeah, exactly. But it's just like that stuff happens. I mean, if anything like that, I don't. Would you put a face? Would you make face shields mandatory at that point too? Like I don't know. Jeremy Lauko again for the Bruins took a skate blade like right here,
Yeah.
nearly lost his eye a couple weeks ago. Like
Yeah.
it happens. Like you said, hockey's a very dangerous sport, arguably the most dangerous sport on the planet, maybe next to like UFC or boxing. But it's a very dangerous sport.
But in UFC and boxing, they're kind of trained to defend too. They're not really. There's so many different directions a puck can hit you from deflecting off that player, off of this player, and then hitting you. Like, you know.
Yeah. You
Anyway,
could like Mark Stahl or Chris Pronger taking it to the eye. Like it's
yeah,
terrifying.
it's like I say, I'm all for the equipment, like especially after witnessing what happened to Kane, wrist guards, all that stuff. Um, you just don't want to see it hamper the talent, because
Yeah.
that's what we love to see. We love to see them skate fast, but that's another thing, skating fast. When is someone going to go awkwardly into the boards at a very high speed? And
Jack Hughes yesterday. Jack
yeah,
Hughes
yeah,
yesterday.
yeah, yeah. Was that yesterday or was that this
Yep.
morning?
That was yesterday.
That was yesterday. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I saw that actually when it happened. So yeah, yeah, we'll see. Okay. We're gonna move on to the Rangers award-winning D-man is now on the LTIR. Adam Fox is on long-term injury. That's a huge, huge, huge hole for the New York Rangers. And it sucks because they're playing extremely well. And one Jonathan Quick is actually
Yeah.
playing unreal.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't know how old he is now, but he's lights out.
Late 30s at least.
Yeah, trade Campbell for him, please. Anyway,
Hey, the last time Edmonton picked up a Rangers goalie, it worked out fairly well for like a couple seasons with Talbot, but then it
yeah,
dropped off the cliff. So
yeah. Oh, yeah. It's unreal how well he's playing. But anyway, getting back to Adam Fox, is this going to affect the Rangers, or do you think Rangers are still going to chug along and they're still well on pace to being a juggernaut this year?
I think they'll still chug along just fine. Their D core is filthy even without Adam Fox. They still have a tremendous defensive core. It might leave a little bit of a hole. Adam Fox has a lot of power play points, and he's been instrumental on their power play. But easily, I think you can have. I mean, not that Jacob Trouba or Keandre Miller are as talented as Fox, but you can have either one of them easily sub in on a top power play unit to help out. I don't know. I can't remember who else is on their D core. I'm sure they have somebody else that can step in into his place, even temporarily. If there's guys on that team that can't eat as many minutes as Fox does, that's fine. You might have to, load balance a little bit more, but I don't think it's really going to terribly affect them. Could be wrong. Who knows? They could, for some reason, end up losing the next 4 or 5 games without Fox, but I doubt it.
Sam, I'm with you on that too, because they just rolled through Edmonton a little while ago. Edmonton, with the talent they had, couldn't even get a goal on them. So by committee, they're very defensively strong. It's a fortress to get through to them. And then
They swept that
if they
Western
do,
road trip.
yeah, yeah,
5 games, won all of them. Beat Vancouver in overtime. That was their toughest competition. Was the Canucks. They won all 5 games.
yeah, yeah. No, they looked really good, and like I said, they couldn't get any, like McDavid and Draisaitl couldn't drum up anything on them. They're struggling this year. They're really struggling this year. But yeah, I think Rangers will be fine. I think there's nothing to worry about that. Sammy, was Pierre Dorian's dismissal warranted?
Yes.
You think so, eh? Um, I liked a lot of the stuff he did. But this recent thing with losing that first round pick, and you'll have your argument point, but I'm gonna say uh picking up Jacob Chikrin I thought was great. Picking up even though he hasn't really reflected as much as he did as a Coyote, I still think he is a good defenseman. Getting Giroux was good. Getting Tarasenko, these were guys that have talent, but they are also vets and they know how to. They've been through the ringer. They know what to do. I like some of his moves, but you can almost see it coming when new ownership comes in. They're going to bring in their own people. You knew that this was eventually going to. And that's what I'm thinking. Was this an ownership thing, just bringing in, hey, let's start fresh, bringing in our own people, or was his dismissal warranted?
I mean, it could be a little bit of both, like with the ownership thing. Like, of course, a new owner, whenever a new owner comes in or new management structure comes in, they're going to want to hire their own people, right? Um, Dorian, honestly, I was surprised that he was even in this season. I thought he should have been fired like 2 seasons ago, to be honest.
Hmm.
Um, he's made some good moves, but every GM, no matter how bad you may be, make some good moves. You know, Jim Benning for these guys. He kind of was a bit of a almost a laughing stock at times, but he made some good moves. Like he drafted Pedersen, which was kind of an off the board pick, and that's worked out extremely well for the
Yeah,
team.
yeah. When you can
Um,
do that, that's really good.
yeah,
Because
he brought
that's
he
hot gambling, high stakes right there.
yeah, exactly. He drafted Brock Besser, which was as well kind of like maybe an early pick, like but that was a good pick. He's made some good trades for the team. Like he traded for Jacob Markstrom back in the day, and that was a good pickup. Um, he's made good moves for the team, but he's had a few, and then everything else was bad.
Hmm.
Peter
So
Dorian,
what did Dorian do that really stood out to you in a very negative way?
to me, like that whole Evgeny Dadonov situation, he completely botched. That is 100% on him. Like the fact that he gets traded to what was it, Vegas, and Vegas wanted to trade him to Anaheim, and Vegas didn't even know that he had a no trade list. Vegas had no idea. So Vegas tells Dadonov, "Hey, you're going to Anaheim," and Dadonov goes, "No, I'm not." And they went, "What are you talking about? We were trading you to Anaheim." And Dadonov said, "No, they're on my no trade list, my 10 team no trade list." And they
Yeah,
went, "What no trade list?" And he goes, "What do you mean no trade list? I have a no trade list." And so Vegas goes, okay, has to call up Dorian, has to call up the Ottawa Senators and be like, "Hey, did he have a no trade list when you signed him?" And
that's
Dorian
kind of
goes,
on Vegas too. Like, I mean, Vegas should
"Yeah,
read the contract details too, right? Like, Dorian
yeah, but
should
when you're the
definitely have
guy,
letting him.
but when you're trading the guy, it's
Yeah,
your responsibility to ship him with all of his information."
yeah, yes.
Vegas sure could have done a little bit of the homework,
But
sure, but
so
but
are you saying Dorian never shipped the no trade list? That oh,
that comes right from the National Hockey
okay.
League. That comes right from the man, like right
Yeah,
from the top of the
yeah.
league.
No,
That never
if he
happened.
didn't ship information, that's like, okay, yeah, you're gonna buy this car. Um, enjoy your car. Oh, by the way, it
You
doesn't
need a
have
new head
five
gasket.
for the paycheck. Yeah, yeah, you
Yeah,
need a head gasket. Yeah.
yeah. Like that's what
Oh.
it is. If Vegas did have no trade list and they just ignored it, then
Hmm.
that's on them. But Ottawa, whether Dorian withheld it out of pure negligence or forgot about it or did it or just withheld it because he didn't care, I don't know. But regardless, he withheld that information from a team
Hmm.
that should have known the information,
Yeah.
and the National Hockey League didn't know about it either.
And now they're being
Then they found out later, and it took a couple years to get the situation resolved. But the NHL finally was like, "Your franchise was negligent in what happened. Your
hmm
general manager was negligent. As such, we're penalizing your team
hmm
because this was a situation that should never have happened."
No.
And so they got penalized for it, and
Hmm.
I understandably, um, what was his name, Andlauer, the new Senators owner. Understandably, he comes in and this situation happens. You're going, what the heck,
Yeah.
And plus, in the last like week and a half, he's had to deal with that Shane Pinto gambling situation, and then now this losing a first round
hmm
draft pick.
hmm
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. It's if the whole plan was to get rid of him, this is the perfect time to do it because it's like no blood on your hands by doing it now, right? Like
and I mean
you
honestly,
screwed up.
Ottawa too has just been underperforming.
Hmm.
Like Dorian a couple years ago was saying the rebuild is over. We're done with the rebuild. We're a competitive team now. And then
Mhm.
Ottawa was not good last year. They missed the playoffs by a pretty good margin. They
Yeah.
weren't a good team last year.
Yeah.
They were decent, but they weren't a good team. This year, they haven't had a good start to the season when
Yeah.
they should be making the playoffs. I picked them to make the playoffs. I think you did too. Like
Yeah.
they should be a good team this year, right? But they're underperforming. They're below 500 right now, I believe. That shouldn't be happening for a team that's not in a rebuild. That's supposed to be competitive. They should be competitive, and they're really not. So, and
Yeah.
that falls on him. I'm sure some of that falls on the coaching too. So, what happens to DJ Smith soon? Does he go? Right? But
Well,
that a lot of
you
that, the
bring in a new
roster that is
GM.
put on the ice.
You bring in a new GM. The GM is going to want his people, right?
Yeah,
So he's going to hire probably. Yeah. So DJ Smith's days are numbered now too. Like they really are.
I'm sure he's on the hot seat,
Yeah.
especially if Ottawa loses a few more games here and they get themselves to 3, 4, or 5 games below 500. You got to think DJ Smith is out.
I think coaching staff, the drafting squad. I think everyone's head is on a swivel right now for potential. Especially when you got a new owner coming in and things aren't running the way they should be running. A new owner does not want to start off their new business in a negative
Yep.
direction. They want to fix things and get it running the way it should be going. So yeah,
And it's worked out really well for the Carolina Hurricanes,
yeah,
right? When their new owner came in, the Hurricanes were not a good team before the new owner came in, and his name's slipping my mind at the moment.
yeah.
Before the new ownership came in, I think Ron Francis was still the general manager. I can't even remember who the coach was. The team was they were just so mid. They just weren't performing very well. They just weren't a very competitive team. And then the new owner came in, and I think at first he bought in to be just over majority owner. Like I think he bought in at like 51%.
Hmm.
And suddenly he comes in with a vision, right? He comes in with a vision in mind. Okay, we're gonna make this team competitive. How do we make this team competitive? How do we draw more crowds? We want to do more specialty nights. We want to do more theme things. We're going to lower the prices of some tickets and concession stuff to like entice more people to come. We want to do more fun things. So they do all that. More people want to come to the arena because it's a little cheaper and maybe a little more affordable. And then he gets rid of the GM. He brings in a new GM, which Don Waddell has been very good. Brings in that new GM brings in a new coach, Rod Brindamore, who's been fantastic.
Hmm.
And suddenly the team's a contender. Within a few years, they're a contender,
Now I
right?
can't,
And
I
that
can't,
happened with Ottawa. It should.
I can't think of his name, but was he not the coach that got fired in Calgary for misconduct? Was he not the coach in Carolina?
Oh yeah, I think it was Bill Peters. You're
Bill
correct. He
Peters,
was
yeah,
the coach.
he was the
He
coach back.
was the coach. Yeah.
As far as GM goes, I don't know who the GM was.
The
But yeah.
GM before was Ron Francis. And
Oh,
then he
okay.
left and then ended up going over to Seattle once that whole thing came out. And then Don Waddell came in, and Don Waddell's been great.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that is actually, even though there was a lot of like, what are you doing? Why are these guys having these weird bowling alley celebrations at the
yeah,
end?
the storm surge was odd.
But you know what? After it, like, obviously, the hardcore hockey fan thought, oh my God, that is silly. But
Don Cherry complained about it every time.
yeah, and to be honest with you, I thought it was silly at first too, but I
Me too, and I'm a
actually
Hurricanes fan.
it grew on me, and they don't do it anymore. I wish they did. I don't think they do it anymore, do they?
I think they still do, but it's just not talked about as much because
Yeah,
it's just a thing now, right?
yeah,
Like it's just their post
yeah,
game, post win tradition,
yeah.
right? But that
Yeah,
started to draw people in because it
yeah,
was something fun, and
yeah,
they knew that if they won, they're going to get to do this fun
yeah,
thing, this fun little dance, and something. Who knows what's going to happen on the
yeah,
ice? The bowling
yeah,
thing, jump into the
yeah,
boards, whatever.
yeah.
So
And it did. It turned into fun. Yeah, like Don Cherry. I mean, I can understand the hardcore hockey fanatic, but you know what? Change is sometimes a good thing too, to just
yeah,
give a bit of a refresher. So yeah, I guess when I look in hindsight with Dorian and that whole trade, that probably, considering the team wasn't performing and all that, which normally gets a GM fired anyway, but having that massive, massive hiccup usually doesn't go very well.
yep.
Okay, Sammy, we are going to go into the standings. And we're going to go and discuss some of the stats here. Just let me queue up my graphics here. All right. So in the Eastern Conference, you got the Boston Bruins in the Atlantic leading it with 19 points. Detroit is shaking your head at that. Detroit with 13,
Stupid.
Toronto with 12, Montreal with 12, Florida with 11, Tampa with 11, Buffalo with 10, and Ottawa with 8. So, yeah, getting back to Dorian, maybe there will be a switch up. Other than Boston, what else surprises you in the Atlantic here?
I think still Detroit, them being so high up is they're performing well. But again, too, they've been in a rebuild for a number of years as well. Steve Yzerman is a great GM, and so seeing his moves finally pan out and working out is really good to see. So I don't know, maybe I shouldn't be surprised. They were a team last year that was kind of on that cusp, like just right on the precipice of being a playoff team. They were in the hunt for the whole season, and then the wheels kind of fell off at the end. So seeing them performing well, I think maybe might be a little surprising, but isn't. Them being ahead of like Toronto and even Tampa, I think is surprising. But I'm happy to see them finally performing well. The fans in Detroit deserve it because they've been bad for a while. Um, Montreal being so high up there as well is surprising, but Martin St. Louis has them playing fantastic hockey right now. They're a really fun team to watch. Other than that, Tampa, not really surprised. They've been pretty average to start the season. Buffalo and Ottawa are surprising. I think that they for sure need to be better and need to be performing better.
I thought Buffalo would be better for sure.
And I think the Buffalo thing a little bit to me comes down to coaching a bit. I don't. Is it Ralph Kruger still their coach? I can't even remember.
No,
I
no, no.
think I think they need to. They might need a different coach. I don't know. I don't honestly. I don't even remember who their coach is. I don't know if he's been in there for
Yeah,
a season or 5 years. I don't remember, but
no,
that
because
might be.
Ralph Kruger got fired, I believe, last year.
Did he? Okay. Well, either way,
He was fired when
something's not
Hall was, no,
something's
he was
not
fired
clicking
when
in
Hall was
Buffalo.
on the team. I think he was fired when Hall was still on the team.
No, maybe.
So
Either way, something's not clicking in Buffalo, and something's
yeah,
not clicking in Ottawa.
yeah.
So I
In the
think
Metro,
Ottawa coaching
oh,
thing too,
yeah.
but
In the Metro, you got the Rangers leading it up. Like I said, that's why I discussed with you about Adam Johnson. Is that going to hamper them? Rangers leading the way in the Metro. New Jersey Devils in second. Maybe they're going to start falling with Jack Hughes, depending on how long he'll be out for. Islanders, Carolina, Philadelphia, Columbus, Washington, Pittsburgh. Um, this, to be honest with you, actually, I'm surprised Pittsburgh's at the bottom. That is kind of surprising. I thought Eric Carlson would be a good kick in the gut for that team
yeah, yeah.
and really, really help it out. I didn't expect Pittsburgh to be the cellar dwellers of this division. So that to me is my surprise. Philadelphia is kind of surprisingly doing better, but you know what? John Tortorella got that team working the blue collar ethic. They
Yep.
don't really have much talent on that team, but they're just. I seen how they played Edmonton, and they really were just able to shut them down real good. Um, yeah, I think the biggest surprise for me is Pittsburgh. You?
I mean, I agree. I think for me, if you were to switch Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, I think this division would be playing out pretty much exactly how most people would be thinking. Carolina maybe swap with the Islanders, but for the most part, you swap Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, and I think that's kind of where everyone probably would have had the division for the most part, or at least somewhat in line. Pittsburgh being at the bottom is very surprising. How long does that last? If that lasts much longer, do you find Mike Sullivan out of a job too? He's been a very good coach for Pittsburgh, won them 2 Stanley Cups. He's been very good, but Pittsburgh missed the playoffs last year, um, and hasn't made it past the first round since they won the cup in 2017. So like, is the time ticking on Mike Sullivan, right? Um, Other than that, yeah, like I'd swap with Pittsburgh and Philadelphia pretty much, and then I think the division would be pretty much in line with what I thought. I would think though, if Pittsburgh fired Mike Sullivan, you got to think that there's going to be teams that are going to be wanting to try and bring him in quickly. Ottawa, maybe even being one of them.
Hmm. Hmm.
Be like, oh, Mike Sullivan's available. DJ Smith, goodbye, Mike. Come on in, buddy. Right.
Yeah.
So
Yep. Could very well
that's
be.
what I do.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Even maybe, like I hate to say it, but maybe Woody even in Edmonton is on the hot seat now too. You
I
know,
mean, who? I mean, realistically, who would you rather have as a coach, Jay Woodcroft or Mike Sullivan? You're going to pick Mike Sullivan. Like,
this year,
honestly,
this
are
year,
you?
this year I would. Last year, I'd rather have Woody. Woody, when he came in, you got to remember when he came in, that team was in the sewer. Tippett was on a 14-game losing streak. He came in, and then all of a sudden, Woody came in and won something like 9 in a row with that team. Just by he has
It's
a
true.
lot of he has a lot of positive things. It's just the team needs to. And honestly, I'm starting to be very concerned about McDavid and Draisaitl. But that's that topic. Well, we can get into it when we get into the Western Conference.
Hmm.
So we'll hold the thoughts on the Oilers for a second. Let's do that. Let's dive into the Western Conference. As we start off in the Central Division with the Dallas Stars at 15 points, followed by the Avs with 14, the Arizona Coyotes with 11 in third place in
Yeah,
that division. Winnipeg, Nashville, St. Louis, Minnesota, and Chicago bottom it out. Pacific Division, you got the Vegas Golden Knights just cruising along with 10
yeah,
wins out of 11.
unbelievable.
And the only loss was an overtime loss, so they even got a loser point on that one. 21 points right now. Vancouver Canucks, and speaking of Vegas, well on pace to beating Boston's record of last year. Vancouver Canucks,
Boston's on pace to beat their own record last year. So,
that's nuts.
like,
Vancouver Canucks with 15 points. Hail to the Canucks right now, as I can. You're a happy man, and hey, that's good for you, Sammy. With
it's been a long
happiness,
10
with
years.
happiness comes misery. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
uh, Los Angeles is in there. Anaheim, Seattle. What the hell's going on with the Oilers? What the hell is going on with the Edmonton Oilers? Calgary, even it was expecting to play a little bit better, and then I think it's the Ducks. I can't really see that, but I think it'd be the
It's
Ducks.
Sharks at the bottom. Sharks
Oh,
at the bottom.
Sharks, yeah. Let's discuss Edmonton right now. What?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to give you my view since I watch every game.
Yep.
McDavid and Draisaitl are not performing. Okay, when you got a I don't know 34-year-old Sam Gagner scoring more goals than McDavid is, there's an issue. Okay, there's an issue when you got
Yep.
Evander Kane scoring more goals than McDavid. Like I don't know what is going on with McDavid and Draisaitl, but they're snake bitten, man. They're not like McDavid has two goals when last year he had 64. Okay, 2 goals, so he's on pace to maybe not even a 30-goal season.
Yeah.
Um, there's problems in Edmonton, man. There's problems if they, and this is not going to be an easy month as they take on your Canucks on Monday night. Then they go down Murderers Road later down the road. Me being an Edmonton Oilers fan, as you can tell by the backdrop, I'm a concerned Edmonton Oilers fan, man. Very concerned that my channel Lubed will be very short this year and end in the middle of April. What have you seen from being on the outside looking in and not being emotionally invested like me?
I for one thing, am just very surprised at how remarkably close the Oilers and the Flames are. Their record is exactly the same, even right down to regulation and overtime wins. Both two, their only two wins are the exact same. Their home and away records are the exact same, just swapped, and the amount of goals that they scored and goals they've given up are almost virtually the same too. There's trouble just in Alberta in general. There's a lack of superstar. Well, I shouldn't say there's a lack of superstar power because Edmonton's got the superstars, but they're not performing. So you really could say there's a lack of star power on both teams right now. There's a lack of that effort, that goal scoring, and that prowess that comes with having stars. Jonathan Huberdeau in his own right for Calgary is a star player. He is, but he's not performing how he should be. Um,
But
McDavid and Draisaitl aren't performing at all. right?
And
Like,
regarding Huberdeau, he's not touted as the world's best player.
no, he's not, but he's still arguably a star player, or at least
Yeah.
was, right? When you're looking at a league right now,
right? So that
yeah,
to me, you got. I hate to interrupt you, but when you got 20 million locked up in scoring and you have like 4 or 5 goals, 10
yeah,
games into the
it's
season,
awful.
you know,
It's awful. Like
yeah,
we're looking at the NHL right now. The NHL is being led in scoring by Jack Hughes is number one, and Elias Pettersson is number two.
yeah,
Right? Like, and that's no knock against Hughes and Pettersson. Look, I'm a Canucks fan, so I'm a PD believer to the ends of the earth, and I'll defend that man forever.
hmm,
Um, but when you have McDavid in the league, he should be realistically number one.
oh, for sure,
Like he should be. But right now you have Jack Hughes and Pettersson at 1 and 2. And
yeah,
again, no knock to those two guys. They're fantastic players. And they are at this point definitely top players or the top players in the league. There's no doubt about it. But you look at the rest of that top five, I can't remember who's third in scoring, but tied for fourth is JT Miller and Quinn Hughes, two more Canucks tied up there. Yeah, oh, Jesper Bratt might even be
yeah.
third for the
We're gonna
Devils.
go
Like,
over that. We're gonna go into all the
yeah,
goals and points
like
and that
the top performers right now are coming out of New
Vancouver,
Jersey and Vancouver
yeah.
are the top guys in the league. Edmonton, even Vander Kane, McDavid, Draisaitl, nowhere to be found.
Well, Draisaitl's
Nowhere to be found.
13th in points. Draisaitl's 13th in points right now. McDavid is something
Yeah,
like 54th.
yeah, but I'm just saying in general, like in the top,
Yeah,
nowhere to be found. Nowhere
yeah,
to be found right now.
yep,
Like, what's happening? You
yeah.
know,
And then
there's
it's
problems
just
going on.
it's just out of screen here. I'm going to see if I can bump it in a little bit here. But yeah, there's the goal differential for the Edmonton Oilers. They're a minus 14 for goal differential right now. Like
Yeah,
that's not good. It's not
no,
good.
it's
It's not
not.
not good for me as an Edmonton Oilers fan. Okay, Sammy. Let's get into some of the points that are going on right now. So yeah, like you said, Jack Hughes is leading
Not
it.
even going to talk about San Jose. They're hopeless.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm not. Yeah. Well, they're right up there with the Oilers right now too. So
No, well, I mean, Edmonton's bad, but San Jose's bad. So
well, I saw one
might be the
comment.
worst team I've ever watched.
I saw one comment after this game. One comment coming on Twitter. San Jose may get their first win against the Edmonton Oilers.
Yeah. Maybe they'll get their first win against Pittsburgh tonight. Penguins aren't playing very well.
Yeah.
Who knows? I
So
saw
anyway,
again just as a funny joke after the Canucks beat them 10-1 the other night. Sportsnet was like, "Oh, and Vancouver and against the Kansas City Scouts because they were that bad."
yeah.
Anyway,
Anyway, so Jack Hughes is topping it off with a total of 20 points. Elias Pettersson, 19 points. Jesper Pratt, 18 points. Quinn Hughes, 16 points. JT Miller, 16 points.
that's as a
Panarin,
defenseman.
16, yeah. So I think they picked a good captain. I honestly do.
I do too.
I think they nailed that one. JT Miller, but we'll see. You know what? I'm not going to say that they picked a good captain yet because it's how he's going to respond with his teammates when they are in the trenches
100%.
and then having trouble.
100%.
Right now, it's looking good. And like you say, yeah, 3 Canucks lead in the top 10. And then you got Leon Draisaitl there. He's 11th here with 13 points. It's still a bit of a logjam, but he's probably in the top 10 if you consider not the logjam. But yeah, Brock Besser, 13 points. He's tied with Leon. And then, of course, Vancouver will play Edmonton on Monday night. Is Edmonton going to get a win on them? That'll be very interesting.
Yeah,
We'll have something to talk about next week anyway, for sure.
for sure.
And then we go into the defense here. Oops, of course it does that. I hate when it does that. I press it once and it doesn't go. Press it twice and it goes to 2 slides over. Okay. Quinn Hughes, he's a plus 13.
Yep.
Massive. Awesome. Elias Pettersson, a plus 9. JT Miller, 1, 2, 3. Canucks. You got 4, 5, 6 in the top 10, and then you got Ian Cole there that's in the top. So you got 7 in the top 20 for Canucks. That's a freaking That's looking.
There.
That's
Yep.
defensively sound, if you ask me. That's
Hmm.
really good defense right there. So yeah, you got Hughes, Pedersen, JT Miller, followed by Pasternak, Carlson, Ronick, McNabb, Besser, Dursey. Dursey's really, that LA made some big mistakes this year, but they're still doing okay considering they made those mistakes.
Yep. That
Um,
Arizona team, man, is surprising some
yeah,
people.
yes, they
Same with
are.
Anaheim. Yep.
Yep, yep. Yeah, this is just, I don't know. I'm just like, what the heck is going on? So yeah, there you go. Like a lot of good results there. And is that the last graph? I know. I think I got
There's a
one.
lot of Vegas and a lot of Vancouver on that list.
Yep. And Vegas, rightfully so, considering they have like still an undefeated record, right? Like
Yep.
they have not
Yep.
lost this season.
Yep.
Goaltenders. This is
Jonathan Quick.
when I saw this, I had to rub my eyes. Jonathan Quick. So this is the save percentage. I got to move that over so you can see. Okay. Save percentage. Jonathan Quick, 982. Semyon Varlanov, 972. Swayman, 954. Reimer, 9.
James Reimer.
Another senior citizen, 944. Joseph Wall, 942. Sorry, James, if you ever tune into this, I didn't mean to call you a senior citizen.
Jimmy
But
Reimer. Yeah.
you get the point. Like Jake Allen is even in the top 10. That's another, guy that's getting up there. You got last year's Stanley Cup unreal goaltender Aiden Hill in 12th, which kind of surprises me. Demko's playing lights out. Yeah, so there's a lot of surprises here. It is definitely, if you look at the goaltending situation that's going on throughout the NHL, it is definitely either credit to their defense that keep shots to the outside and keep it very simple for those goalies, or the longevity of some of these goalies. But something is going right with some of these older goalies to get these kind of numbers. And I'm thinking it has to be like Vancouver. Vancouver playing by committee. When you have that many in the top 20 that have plus a good plus minus, I think it is your defense that is the main responsibility. Because even as bad as Jack Campbell was last year, they still were able to do good, the Oilers. This year,
Yeah.
Jack Campbell has improved. He has improved, but the defense around him is very porous. And there was
Hmm.
one game that in who was they playing? Who was that game? I can't remember who they were playing, but they end up losing by quite a high score when it was all done and said. But Jack Campbell kept them into it. He did a Superman save, like just an unbelievable save. I even did my thumbnail for Lubed with him with a Superman body and stuff like that. So he really got ripped off in that game. And then obviously I think he just got tired out with getting peppered that much. But yeah, some of these goalies that have the age and the experience, they're really doing well. James, like I say, James Reimer and Jonathan Quick really stand out here. You?
I mean, Varlamov, he's not young either.
No, 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 he's not. Like so James Reimer, is he the number one now? Is Huso kind of like the backup? I guess.
It might be like a 1A, 1B thing right now, probably.
Yeah. Well, how many games does James Reimer have? He's four.
He's
He's
played 4.
4 games. Yeah,
So
so that's a
you got to
legit.
think probably Huso's played the other, 5 or 6, I guess, probably.
Yeah, could very well be. Yeah. So yeah, Detroit's like you say, Detroit's well on their way. This is a season of surprises. I'm not even joking. I didn't expect Vancouver to be as good as they were. Didn't expect Edmonton to be as
I didn't.
crappy as they were. I didn't. Yeah, lots. With Vancouver though, they had such a horrible year last year that they got a lot of motivation to do well this year. Because no one wants to play for 6 months on a shitty team, right? Like, I know I don't. You know, I don't want to see the Oilers play this horribly. Every year the Oilers do go through a rut, so I'm hoping that we can see them somehow get a little bit of confidence. But that's, like I say, that's for another topic, another day. Sammy, I think we can maybe wrap this up here. Let me just close that banner down. And yeah, another episode done in the books. I think we will talk, depending on what we see this week. We may be having a good discussion point about what's going on in Alberta. Very
Yeah.
well could be next week, because there's a lot of misses and not hits coming out of Alberta right now. Yeah, Sammy, send us on our way here, and join me tomorrow for Lubed as I or don't join me. depends on your mentality with the Oilers right now. I know a lot of people just need a break from the Oilers right now, but I will be on Lubed Live tomorrow, discussing my negativeness a little bit about it. But Sammy, head us on our way, and we will see you next week, guys.
Yeah, I mean, thanks for coming along on this one. This was a long one this week. But a lot of things to discuss, like we've talked about. This has been a wacky start to the season, and now that we're about a month in, I think things are probably going to start to settle out a little bit. So I don't know if that means we're going to have less things to talk about or more things to talk about. I guess we'll see. But we're probably going to start seeing more of those patterns and things. So it might even make these a little longer. So we'll see. But anyway, yeah, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week on Remembrance Day, which is next Saturday. Next Saturday.
We may bypass
be,
next week if that's the case.
Yeah.
It might be a good idea to just leave next week. We'll see.
Right,
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, well, I don't think we'll. Maybe let's shoot for like a Friday.
Well, it's also a stat on maybe the Monday or something. So maybe if we're off on those days, maybe we can do a Monday video or something.
We'll see.
I think out of respect, though, I almost kind of want to.
I agree.
Not have an episode. Anyway, guys, you take care. We will talk to you when we talk to you next. Just stay tuned for updates on when the next episode will be. It could be one next week, or we may bypass one. Okay, I'm done.
All right.
Have a good one, man.
Take care.